G'day, 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 ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between. We are back today bringing you another episode of Inside the Mind, where as a Chapter 1, Season 1 veteran, we're bringing you guys the latest and greatest tips, tricks, strategies, and more to winning not only more games, but more crowns in Fortnite Chapter 6. So guys, as always, if you are keen to see us run it back for another game here, going to be doing the Swarmy strategy, make sure you guys do hit that like button, and you hit that subscribe button. Alright, I thought we'd try and land down here. We'll try our luck, try and go here, maybe then rotate over towards the, not the medallion, but of course that mythic Wrecker revolver. I'm going to get Jewel here, Jewel of the OXR rifles, which will be definitely something to ride home about. And of course, we've got to get lucky this game. We've got to get lucky with the G-Wagon that spawns here. Right, sometimes you'll find one, sometimes you won't. Now, I don't think this guy has a gun. I mean, I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say he doesn't have a gun. What I want to do is, I want to quickly rotate over, crash into one of these, get the full shield, and then hopefully this one as well, and this will give us a gun. Hopefully, maybe a shotgun. We're going to get the Wrecker, which will definitely be required. Let us see, he's around the corner here. We'll see if we can come up around the backside. He is going to get his own sort of shield. Alrighty, well played to you, sir. A little bit of a sweatier drop today. Usually this is like a really uncontested drop, which is very, very interesting to see that there is quite a lot of players here. However, guys, one of the many reasons of why we do enjoy to land here is not only because of its usually uncontested nature, but additionally is going to be the sheer amount of OXR points you guys can rack up here. So quite a lot of potential, as well as you got these bugs, you got the slurp trucks. You also will have these geysers which are littered around the map, which are great for not only getting the redeploy, but additionally they're going to be great to use if you guys take a little bit of damage and you need a little bit of health. So definitely keep an eye out for those. Right, I want to get a little bit more ammunition here before we do venture on out over to that Queen location. So that is right, guys. That is going to be the next goal for us in terms of this drop strategy, is to be able to go and grab the mythical Wrecker revolver. Now, you've got a couple of options, right? You've got a couple of options. You can either go for that. You can also not go for that. You can instead go for the OXR base up top here, which will have a marketplace there, right? So you can actually grab, I think most of the time I've gone there, usually I'll find a legendary Wrecker revolver, which is quite nice. But I feel confident, right? I feel like we've got a nice sort of setup right here as we stand. I am going to quickly try and grab a really nice Sentinel pump here. The Twin Fire is good, I mean, but I am much more of a fan of that Twin Fire. And of course, now we will have that A rank, so quite a lot of benefits will be at our direction here. Grab some of these shockwaves, and we'll head on over. So now we've got the reduced stamina consumption and increased reload speed there, which is very, very tidy. But guys, yes, this is where we're going to go. Alright, we're going to head on over now. We've got the A vault as well over to the corner. But guys, real quick, make sure you guys do hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you've enjoyed it so far. If you guys want to help us, want to see us reach the 5,000 subscriber goal by the end of the year, that would be fantastic, right? We started at the start of the year with nothing, so we've come a long way. But let us see what we've got here. We've got the Queen now. I want to identify where the other players are, so looking at where the Queen is actually shooting at is going to help you here. It's going to be shockwaving over. Now, the thing about the shockwave hammer that is making it not a fantastic weapon to use in terms of that mobility is going to be for the sheer amount of reload time on it. So it actually has a 20-second cooldown. Well played to him for shooting at our car. That is most certainly quite grief. We do have another G-Wagon over there, though, so try and dodge some of these shots, and we'll be able to pick up a... Oh, he's got the same sort of variant weapons there. I want to keep an eye out as well, guys, just in case that there's going to be a lot of other players here, right? So we've actually stayed too long in the same spot, which is never really the good of, never really a good sort of general practice here. Standard practice, best practice even. All made all the way around the backside there. Trying to find some health. So what I'm thinking of, if we can grab a med kit here, that would be ideal. try and maybe run in and out here, heal up, and then we're going to grab those other two big boys. We'll rotate to our car, and then I want to get some high ground. So there's old mate. He's actually inside that tower there. Try and just go squiggly squig here for a moment. And because we've used quite a lot of stamina immediately, instead of trying to make the run to our car, see, he's taking his NPC around the back way. I made my way over into a bit of cover temporarily, right? So that is going to be a good rule of thumb there, guys. Be mindful about your stamina. Alright, here we go. We've got someone in the roly-poly who has just arrived. Again, instead of fighting them down in the down low, I want to go up high. So I'm going for this little cliff ridge here. We've got a rock as cover. Immediately, I can use it as cover to our left whilst we check our right flank. And then we can basically rinse and repeat this, right? Now, you've got a couple of options. You can either wait for the players to go and go for the queen, or you can try and go for it yourself. And I think that's what we're going to do here. I like to get in and out of these locations as quick as possible. So immediately what I'm going to do is going to try and grab the neck, right? I just want to hit that neck on the underside there to get those criticals. And then when it gets down to like 1 or 2 hits, you're going to stop shooting at it. And you're going to try and reload your gun. And then shoot at it and immediately drive to it. Alright, and that way, no matter what happens, when you go to collect that queen, when you go to collect the mythical Wrecker Revolver, we will be able to just make a bit of a one-stop shop here. And we'll be able to have an entire magazine to shoot out at people. So that is the main sort of gist of why we want to do it in that sort of order. And now it is our time to get on out of here. Got a couple more shockwaves here for our taking. And we'll head on out. And I want to try and see if there's another roly-poly player here. Kind of want to see if we can do this fight around this direction here. And I just want to kind of bring them far away, right? I kind of want to get them out of their depth into a new location where they are not used to. And that way we'll have a greater chance of being able to get that surprise factor and that shock and awe factor and really take advantage of that. So I think no matter what stage of the game you're in, to try and get that shock and awe is always going to be a great factor in terms of tilting your opponent, right? Like getting them off of their general sort of neutral stance. You want to get them into that sort of the flight stance. Of course, some players will have a very good fight or flight reaction response and they'll just go straight into fight. And that's okay, but just bear that in mind that they're going to be a little bit trickier to get down. And of course, you want to make sure you're getting these players in these situations in areas that you feel comfortable with as well, right? Like you want to be able to essentially like identify a key area, like a piece of high ground. You know, when we were back over there, we had a lot of that rocky cover plus the high ground and hills, which were kind of easily defendable as well, which is great. Now, I will be placing the car on top of both bowsers, because that is going to be the quickest way to heal up, guys. It will be the quickest, the best, the fastest to heal, to refuel, you name it. And additionally, we're going to take this car out. And so now, no matter what happens, if we like lose a bit of fuel, maybe we get take a little bit more damage than we would have hoped, we can just drive back to that fuel station. I'm going to mark it as well on the map. And we can just immediately head over there and go and grab that car and just pick it straight up. So a lot of great potential there. I'm just going to quickly park us in the bush real quick because I do have a dog with me, my little Max, and I'm going to quickly just let him out. Alright, and we are back, of course. I've just let Max out. We're going to go and drive on and out of here now. We're a little bit of a late rotate, so it's not going to be the greatest thing for us here, but... Oh! I was about to shoot that myself. Great minds, we do surely must think alike. Okay, we've got Meow Meow 38 there going down. We're going to go and rotate on into the zone. So what are late rotates, guys? Why do we not want to be them? Late rotates typically going to be players who are just late to rotate. Now you're going to get a sort of a wide variety of these players, right? And like they'll all have their own sort of different types of attributes and traits, but essentially they're going to be rather streamlined into like 2 or 3 categories. Your first sort of late rotate player is going to be the players who are I thought that was a player on top of the hill there. It's a telescope. The first player is going to be one that was a bit of a loot goblin, right? They're going to be trying to stay back, trying to get as much loot as possible. Now, these players will typically have really good loot on them, but they generally won't be the most confident in fights, because that's typically how they play all the time. Right, so they're not really used to getting into those high, intense fights, and so these are going to be great to take advantage of, because they'll usually just panic when you go for them. Now, the other second type of play you guys are going to come up against in terms of these late rotates, look, it's a sweeper, it'll do. It's not going to be the sentinel, but it is damn close. It's going to be the players that have been in fights, who have been a little bit staying behind, because they've actually been trying to deal as much damage as they can to a lot of these other players in the lobby. Alright, now that is also fun. Now, these players are also going to be very, very difficult to go up against sometimes, because these are players who have been fighting. However, they will typically be low health. Now, that's the second sort of low health, late rotate player, right? They're going to be low on health. Again, very easy to take advantage of, but they will be able to pack a punch because they are used to fighting. Now, your third type of late rotate player, this one's a sort of like an in-between sort of mismatch, a little bit of a bitzer, right? It's going to be the player who is going to be someone's 9-year-old nephew who just doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and they've just figured out that the zone is moving. Again, very easy to kill. Those are your three main types of late rotates. Try to take a hold of all of those situations where possible. Now, this card doesn't have as much fuel as I would like. I'm going to quickly go and grab that instead. We could try and go for an A-Vault here. There aren't going to be any here. We do have the Ranger's Ruin, which could be nice. But essentially, what you guys want to be doing is make sure you've got enabled your visual audios, and just try to drive around through the centers of areas, or like nearby areas, and try to just keep an eye out for any, like, those visual audios for shots. Now, that drop pod is landing in the zone, which isn't going to be great. I was thinking about it, but you know what, maybe not so much anymore. And I just want to kind of keep an eye out there, trying to spot these players. I'm looking up these ridge lines. You know, I'm looking up at the mountains over in the distance. I'm trying to find, like, I'm looking at places where I would tend to be rotating, or where I'd tend to be hiding. Most of the time, of course, I will just be in this car. I'm using this as our method, right, to try to find these players. You know, I don't really believe too much in just being a bit of a, I don't know what you'd call it, a first-hand passenger princess. But I do think it is very helpful, right? Especially these whiplashes, these trail smashes, these G-Wagons, compared to the whiplashes. Compared to the sedans, this car is going to be very, very good in terms of its protection it can offer you. It'll have more health, it'll have more fuel, and it'll also be able to, look, you can stand up fully uncrouched behind this thing. It is very, very handy. Now, we've got a drop pod down here, which tends to mean someone is here, right? Is this a B one as well? It is. So someone just got B. It could likely be a bot. I tend to find these very late game B crates are from bots, so you shouldn't be too phased or like too cautious, but always just try to remain somewhat cautious when approaching them, just because whilst it might not have been triggered by an actual player, there will be actual players nearby who, again, like me, wanted to maybe get some mobility. You know, maybe wanted to get a nice bit of an upgrade on some weapons or some ammunition and heals. So a lot of benefit there, a lot of potential. But not many players around this backside. So we do have another G-Wagon here. I am going to park and switch, and we're going to mark this car as our backup car. So now, no matter what happens, if we get shot out, if we take a little bit too much damage, or even use a little bit too much fuel, we will be able to come over there and grab that car. There's another G-Wagon down there as well, which I will mark. And I'll sort of keep a bit of a mental inventory, right, of like where these places are. So that can be very, very helpful as well. Now, if we quickly check the map, we just want to scout out the area. Now, we do know that we do have that other G-Wagon that we've left on the fueling pad up at that fuel station up here, which could be quite nice to get. You know, it could be quite nice. It could be quite sturdy. Sometimes you get a car down there. Not today, it says, Butter. Not today, my friend. Now, we've got some loot down here. Now, this is good. This is a good opportunity to sort of reflect on the area currently as it stands. If someone died here in the low ground, it could tend to mean that there are players up high. Like, I'm thinking up on top of these mountains. Additionally, we could also maybe... Yeah, there they are. Okay, now because we've got one player behind us to the left and one up high on that mountain, I'm going to try and just wait for one of them to breach their angle, and then I rotate out. And now I've got both of them on the low ground, and I'm going to go immediately for the high ground. So I've baited them out into a low ground area. I've got this card there on foot. And now it's pretty much just open season, right? You kind of just want to give it a fair crack for your money. But before you do, make sure you guys check your 6. Alright, there they are down below there. Getting shot at again from somewhere else. I'm not too sure where that shot is coming from. Unbelievable. Again, just one please. Just give me one of these sentinel pumps. I would be forever grateful. Now, our car has fallen all the way down there. We could probably go for this, to be fair. Like, it doesn't look like it's been damaged an awful lot, but we are going to get marked there by, I assume, maybe either an NPC. I'm thinking it's an NPC. There is a scan in the medallion. There is a scan in the game at the moment. There's also going to be a flare gun as well, so... Immediately, guys, we've got low health on this car, so where are we going? We're going to that ping. Now, we're going to where we have a car already backed up and saved. Alright, it's kind of like having a spare life. You know, just imagine it like a spare life, really. And that way, we can head back on over. We can grab this, and then we'll rotate back around and try to remove these remaining players. Now, the car might actually be a little bit in zone here, which won't be flash hot, but... We'll see if we can grab it without taking too much damage. Of course, 2 damage per tick. It's going to be quite nasty. Just going to make sure we've reloaded our guns as well, guys. You want to make sure that you make that your standard practice, right? Your best practice is going to be for ensuring that no matter what, if you guys get like an opportunity to do so, to reload. You know, just even if it's just a double check, even if you are most certainly sure that it did work and you did reload, there is quite a few bugs in Fortnite's history where, and I mean it happened to me earlier this morning, where I reloaded, I double checked, and then later I noticed that it was missing all of its bullets, so not the greatest there. I'm going to try and mark these. Hopefully we can find a sentinel. It won't be the worst thing in the world, of course, if we can't get one, but what do we got here? There should have been a drop pod, I swear, landed nearby. Oh, there it is. Alright, fantastic. So we're going to have the S drop pod here, guys, for that boon, as well as... Well, the S plus is going to be the one that grants you the mythic. Now, I'm not going to continue to hold this flare gun, but we are going to use it. Right, so north, south, east, and west. Alright, never eat soggy wheat bix. Of course, for those of you in North America, never eat shredded wheat. Double check that we've got our inventory, of course, set up. Check around, we've got no markers, which is good. You know, we can now rotate on into the zone here. Dodge those swarm strike shots, of course, with the drift. And now we know Old Mate is behind us there, so that's really helpful. So what we can do is we can go up here. I'm going to go to the high ground. I'm thinking, like, where can we find some rocks? You know, I want to find something that, you know, we can not only hide behind... Oh, we're top 2. Alright, guys, if you've enjoyed the episode, you know what 2 buttons to press. Alright, now I'm assuming... There he is, all the way over into the distance there. Try and get a few of these shots off, of course. Even if we can only get a few. I mean, look, we've got the zone right behind us here, so he has to come to us. Now, he's probably healing up behind that rock, so again... Get it very close. Try and just dodge those. And then just before it breaks, you can kind of destroy the cover and then use the rest of your magazine to finish up the kill. Alright guys, if you did enjoy that episode, make sure you hit that like button. You hit that subscribe button, and as always, take care. Garnier.